Hey, I'm Hannah Roy, and welcome to Fit Faith and Flourish, a place for Christian women to learn to live a healthy lifestyle, prioritize their faith, and flourish as a woman of God. We talk a lot about Jesus, and then some more about relationships, business, and simply living a joy-filled life in the world we live in. I am so thankful you're here, and I pray that this episode touches you. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am honestly just feeling super inspired and super excited just to be able to get back into podcasting. I have not been consistent with it this year at all. A big goal I have for mine in 2026 is to be consistent with it, because I really feel like that's what the Lord is calling me to bring you guys value and encouragement and inspiration, and really just to grow you closer to the Lord physically and spiritually. So I'm super excited. I'm doing a little bit of a rebrand for my podcast, not anything crazy, but just to kind of remind people that I have a podcast, kind of sharing things to really make myself also show up and be consistent. And so within my podcast layout, I want it to be fun also. And so I'm kind of incorporating some different things in here. So I just kind of want to walk you guys through what hopefully the outline of my podcast is going to kind of look like for future reference. I really just want to share with you guys what the Lord is teaching me. It challenges me to really dive deep and to reflect on those things. And then I want to be able to share that with you guys. I also just want to be able to share a little bit of my life with you guys and just be able to give you guys some fun updates for those of you who are interested, and then we'll dive into the topic and everything like that. And then at the end of every episode, I want to do a listener corner, which is basically where I will have one or two questions just from people who listen or from people from my Instagram that I feel like would be really valuable to answer on here. So that's kind of what I want the outlook of the episode to be. This episode, oh my goodness, I'm so excited for it because it's all things goal setting, and I love setting goals. I absolutely love setting goals. I've always been someone to set high goals. I've always been very entrepreneur minded. And even if you're not like that, that's okay, because I want to share with you the importance of setting goals. And not that you have to set these big crazy goals. That's who I've always been. That's not how you have to be. That's totally fine. But there is value in setting goals, and there's value in setting godly goals and setting goals that align with His will. And so I just want to dive into all of that. But first, I want to share with you guys what the Lord has been teaching me recently. Life has honestly been a lot recently, just with relationships and work. It's just been a lot. I'm going into the new year. This can just be a really busy time for me, and I just really am so thankful that I feel like the Lord is just giving me such a good vision of what He wants me to do with my future, with my business right now, but it also can just be overwhelming. And so it's just been a lot right now. And I feel like the Lord is really just teaching me patience and just teaching me to really trust and to lean into Him. And also just in this Christmas season, I have been doing an Advent devotional and really just diving into the word Emmanuel, that God is with us. And I feel like I've really just been able to find peace in that and find joy in that, and just knowing that He came to be with us and that His Spirit is within me and that He is right here by my side at all moments, and I'm able to lean into that, and it's just a blessing. And so the Lord has really just been teaching me some beautiful things right now in a little bit of a challenging season, and it's just been a blessing, and I'm just so thankful for it. So that's what I feel like the Lord has been teaching me recently. As far as any fun life updates, really one big thing that I have is Austin Marathon, which is coming up in February, which is literally 8 weeks away, which is so exciting. I've been training and getting ready for that, and I've honestly been feeling so strong, and I'm so thankful for how my training has been going. If you do or don't follow me on social media, I am running this marathon for the Miracle Foundation. And the Miracle Foundation is a organization and a charity that basically helps children be reunited with their families. And that might sound like what at first. However, it's actually so interesting, which I would have never known. And so it's really cool to be able to learn about these things. But a lot of children are actually taken away from their parents, not necessarily because of bad parenting, but because of poverty. It's something that's, in a sense, out of their control. And so Miracle Foundation provides them with the resources to be able to to be able to not live in poverty and be able to provide them with those things, to be able to give their child a safe environment to live in. And it's really, really cool. So they do that, or they also are just giving children a family to be able to be in permanent residence with, and also being able to make sure that they connect them with a good family for them. And so it's a really cool organization and really meaningful to me, because this past year I set a goal that I want to run with more purpose, and I'm able to do that by raising money for this charity. So I will leave the link in the show notes if you do want to just donate any money at all. It would truly mean the world, just because I really do want to be able to raise a good amount of money for this charity. My goal, I believe, is $3,500, and I still have quite a ways to go, so it truly would mean the world. But I'm so excited to raise money for this organization, to be able to run this marathon, just the purpose, and it's just going to be an awesome trip in February. So I'm super excited. It's really only like the major life update that I have right now. So I will just go ahead and pray, and then we'll get into the episode. Dear Lord, I just want to thank you so much just for the person listening to this right now, God. I pray that you work through them, that you would just allow them to open up their heart and their mind to what you would have for them. I pray that you use me, God, that you would give me the words to say, that you'd be able to allow me to clearly relate what your word has to say on goal setting and how we can set goals that honor you, Lord. So I pray you would just use me. I pray for your blessing over this episode, Lord, and that it would just honor and glorify you, Lord. Lord, just thank you for all that you are and all that you've done. We just praise you in your name. Amen. So I know there's going to be a couple different type of people listening to this episode. Some people that love to set goals, and then some people that don't really care to set goals. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with either of those. I'll give you kind of the two things that I see with that. Is I'm the person who really likes to set goals, and sometimes I can set really big goals that aren't necessarily achievable, or I can get super focused on a goal and not necessarily bring God into it. So there's that. Or there's a person who doesn't really care to set goals and who doesn't necessarily care about moving forward. They're okay with staying in the same place. And I believe that both of those are kind of two wrong extremes. God calls us to want to grow, to improve, to continue to seek after him. But God also calls us to keep our eyes on him and not to just do things for self-centeredness. And so being able to meet in that middle and being able to set goals that align with the Lord and really being able to walk out what the Lord has called you to do. And so why should you set goals? Let me share a verse with you. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, "But all things should be done decently and in order." We live in a pretty chaotic world. I think we can all probably agree with that. Very busy, always going from the next thing to the next. And a lot of times, whether it be our home, our life in general, it can kind of get out of order. Our priorities can kind of get hijacked a little bit, and all of these things come above God and what God has for us. And because we have all these other things going on, we can kind of lose sight of what the Lord has for us. And so when it comes to goal setting, I always like to include reflection in that, because when you're setting a goal, you have to kind of reflect on your life, where you're at, what's realistic for you, and being able to move forward and be like, okay, where am I now and where do I want to be? And so being able to reflect on your life and being like, wow, okay, my life is actually kind of chaotic in these areas, and really being able to move forward from that and being able to be someone who is a person of order and a person of organization. Like, that is something that God desires of us in our life. And it's not about being perfect and having everything just perfectly neat in your life, but we do want to be able to be set apart from that and not let the busyness and the overconsumption and the craziness of the world win. And I think that that's a verse that is often overlooked, but God has called us to live lives of order. Hebrews 12:1 says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith." We got a lot of things in our life weighing us down, whether it be school, sports, jobs, phones, all of these different things that are weighing us down. And this verse is saying we need to put those things aside and run the race that Jesus has for us. And that's the problem with so many of us, is we let so many of these things overwhelm us, so many of these things consume us, that we don't let Jesus Christ consume us, when Jesus Christ is the only one who should truly be consuming us. It's not, here, let me add all these other things in and then I'll add Jesus in. No, it's Jesus is the center of my life, and if I have time for all these other things, then I will add all of these things in. And so I bring up these verses. I bring up 1 Corinthians 14:40 and Hebrews 12:1 to say that God has called us to a life of order. God has called us to lay aside the things that are hindering us from being able to live a life of order for the Lord, of being able to live on purpose for the Lord. Setting goals allows you to have a clear vision of what you want ahead of you. Setting goals allows you to be with the Lord and be like, Lord, what do you want from me? Where can I go with my life? Setting goals allows you to not stay stagnant and not stay in the same place. Because again, reflection and goal setting go hand in hand. Really being able to lean into the Lord in that area and being able to move forward and not stay in the same place and achieve cool things in life that are able to honor and glorify the Lord and grow you into a stronger woman of God physically and spiritually. I think setting goals is so important. And again, you don't have to set all of these crazy goals, but even just setting a few goals and things that you want to work towards in the new year or each month is such a beautiful way to be able to grow with the Lord and stay focused and stay disciplined in your life. And I think it's just so helpful and so beneficial and something that a lot of people are missing out on by not participating in it. When it comes to goal setting, I also want to stress that when I set goals, I'm not necessarily always setting these extremely strict and extremely specific goals. I do have those within that. However, I also have intentions. Those are kind of things that I want to work on throughout the year and throughout the month, because with a lot of things in life, like we can't necessarily set specific goals, like somewhat we can, but like for instance, really being like, I want to be more gentle. I want to be more kind. I want to be more intentional with inviting people to church. And of course, you can set specific goals around that. Like, okay, I want to try to invite 3 people to church each week, or like whatever that may be. Like, there's definitely ways you can do. And I think like maybe starting off with an intention and then turning it into a goal, I think is great. There's so many different ways to do that. But I think there's just some things that it's like, these are areas you need to be like more intentional with and not necessarily super specific. However, setting specific goals are very important too, because if you're not setting specific goals, you can be super lenient with it and not be strict with yourself and just kind of be like, oh, well, I still have time. I'll reach that eventually, you know? So being mindful of that as well as setting specific goals is really important. But I want to give you a little bit of a framework for setting goals. The other day, I was just kind of thinking and praying over this, and this is kind of what I feel like the Lord gave me. The first step in really being able to set beneficial goals for your life is your why. What is your why behind setting these goals? Are these goals for yourself? Are they for someone else? Are they for the Lord? Are they to promote yourself? Are they to promote God? Why are you setting these goals? 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whether you eat or you drink or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. We have to be very mindful when setting goals, because a lot of times they can be very self-centered. Now, you might be like, Hannah, you literally are doing marathons and triathlons and all these things. And my goal with those is not just to do it for myself, but running and exercise has truly brought me so much closer to the Lord. And it has taught me so much about Him. It has taught me so much about really being able to lean into Him and rely on Him. And again, like all of these things really just come down to, are you putting God at the center of it? Are you doing it for the glory of God? Or are you doing it for self? Because doing it for yourself will only get you so far. You're not going to feel fulfilled. You're not going to feel satisfied. You're not going to have a deeper purpose to that. But in everything you do, when you put God at the center of it, He gives you a deeper purpose and a deeper meaning to the journey. So I would just challenge you to think about your why. Are you doing it for the glory of God? Are you doing it for your children, for your husband, for your friends, for whatever? I'm telling you right now that that's only going to get you so far. And you will not stick to that goal very long unless you have a true, deep meaning and purpose. And honestly, this is just making me think of a client that I've been working with this past week. And she was like, Hannah, I have to change my why. My why can't be my husband and my why can't be my kids. Because the thing is those people are ultimately going to upset you at points. And it's going to be really hard when the things that you are doing it for hurt you. And that's why it's so beautiful to be able to do things for the purpose and for the glory of God, because His love for you is unwavering. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And whenever you are doing things unto the glory of Him, you don't have to waver because He doesn't waver. And so constantly being able to show up because He has shown up for you in the ultimate way of His sacrifice for us is such a beautiful thing. And so the first step to setting goals is your why. Your why behind every single goal that you're setting is so, so important, because otherwise it can be super easy to sit down, write out some goals, and all of them are very you focused. When we want our goals to ultimately be growing our relationship with the Lord and really being able to honor and glorify Him. So that's the first step. The second step is actually setting the goals. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." Again, we oftentimes go down, set some New Year's resolutions, and all we have is me, myself, and I in mind when we're setting those goals. And so we can set all the goals that we want, and we can have our eyes on whatever that goal is that we want to achieve. But many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. I can set all the goals that I want, but when I think about it, do I want to set all these goals that don't align with God's will for my life? My will for my life is nothing compared to what God has for me. God has so much for me. God has a beautiful purpose, a beautiful will for me and for you. And I don't want to be walking in what He doesn't have for me. If this is not what He wants, I don't want it. And so when you're setting your goals, you have to really be mindful of, am I just setting this goal for me because I want to achieve this? Or am I setting this goal because this is what the Lord would have for me? And I think that's a cool thing about goal setting too, is that God will change your heart and your mind throughout the year as you're being intentional with these goals. There have been goals that I've set at the beginning of the year that I've had to reset and readjust as seasons change, or as the Lord is kind of changing just my direction of things that I'm doing. And so being mindful of that, and that's what really comes into being in tune with the Holy Spirit and really leaning into Him and being like, Lord, this is the desire of my heart. Lord, I desire to reach this goal. However, Lord, if it is not in your will, I pray, Lord, that you would allow me to let go of it. And that's the thing I really want to talk about, is so often we can be so goal-oriented, so goal-focused, so focused on the specific thing that we want to do that we don't leave room for other things, that we don't leave room for God to work. So I challenge you to set big goals. Try to achieve big things. It's so fun to get yourself outside of your comfort zone with whatever it is that you want to do. However, don't be so focused on that goal that you miss out on what God has for you. It's not worth it, because ultimately, yes, you can do it unto the glory of God. Like, I can do all of these marathons and all of these races unto the glory of God. If I'm seeking these things out and I'm missing out on maybe that God had something else in store for me, well, I love running and I love racing and I can do it to the glory of God and I can honor Him in it, and it is so cool. If God had something else for me, that would not be what I need to be doing. I would have to be letting go of these things. And so that's my heart posture. Like, I actually have a really big race next year that I've signed up for, and it's going to require a lot of training. And I've already gone in, I've tried so hard to be the mindset of, Lord, this is the desire of my heart. I really want to achieve this, God, but I also don't want to lose sight of what you would have for me, God. If you want me to do this, allow me to do it, Lord. And if you don't want me to do it, Lord, give me the red flags. Lord, don't allow me to go through with this. And so being mindful, being open to this. And that kind of goes into the third point, which is surrender. Surrendering your goals to the Lord. The first step is what's your why behind your goals? Your second step is making sure that ultimately your goals align with the Lord. We can have our own plans in mind, but we want to make sure that we're doing what the Lord has called us to, because it is His purpose that prevails. And the third step is really surrendering these goals to the Lord, letting Him lead in these areas. And that's how we're going to be in tune with the Lord. That's how our goals are going to change and adapt. And that's how we're going to have joy in our goals, because they're not just self-centered, but we're truly surrendering these goals to the Lord and being like, Lord, these goals are yours. I pray that you would guide me. I pray that you would lead me in these goals, Lord, and that you would allow me to achieve these things. Or if it's not meant to be, Lord, that I wouldn't. But that's when it really comes down to giving these goals to the Lord and not being so focused on them that you miss out on what God has for them, but you're focused on them while also having your arms open to God. What would you have for me? What would you have for me, Lord? Allow me to walk in that. James 4:7 says, submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Verse 8 says, draw near to God and He will draw near to you. We have to submit our goals unto the Lord. We have to give our all to the Lord. When you commit your life to the Lord, if you claim to be a believer, if you claim to be a Christian and that your life is the Lord, that means that every single area of your life is the Lord's. Being a Christian isn't always easy. being a Christian isn't always just butterflies and rainbows. Being a Christian is hard in this world because the world has normalized sin so much that even it can look normal for a Christian to be walking in sin. And so we want to make sure that we are submitting ourselves to the Lord, that we are surrendering these things to the Lord. And it can be really hard sometimes because maybe there's things that we want to do that don't align with God's will for our life right now. And being willing to surrender and give those things up to God so that He truly can lead you and guide you. Submit yourselves to God. Draw near to Him, and He will draw near to you, and He will give you a clear vision and clear goals that you should be reaching in your life. So we talked about your why for the goals. We talked about setting the goals. We talked about surrendering the goals. And how do you actually stick to the goals? That's probably the hardest thing, especially because we start off the new year, we set all these goals, maybe we do good in January, and then maybe by middle of January, February, especially March, we've already fallen off. A couple things when it comes to that is, first off, you have to set realistic goals. Like I said, I've always been someone that is just like go-getter, setting big goals, but sometimes that's not realistic, and that's okay. But you have to be able to assess where you're at, because if you're going in a goal setting, already setting goals that are not realistic for you, you're immediately setting yourself up for failure. Look at your life, reflect on your life, reflect on the season you're in, that you're going to be in, and ask yourself, am I actually going to be able to reach these goals? Am I going to be able to reach these goals unto the glory of God? Am I going to be able to reach these goals while stewarding the time, the body that the Lord has given me? Am I going to be able to reach these goals and still prioritize going to church? Still prioritize my relationship with the Lord? Or are these goals going to consume me and stop me from doing all of that? So be very mindful of that. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Whenever it comes to sticking to the goals, again, your why is very important here. And really realizing that when you aim to do your goals for someone, even if it's yourself that you're wanting to do these goals for, you will only stick to them for so long. But the Lord gives such a deep purpose and such a deep meaning to this journey. And we want to do it as if we're doing it unto the Lord. We're doing it for the glory, for the honor of Him, and that we are going to be working hard for Him. That when we're reaching these goals, when we're exercising, we're eating healthy, whenever we're doing whatever these things are that we want to do, whenever we're reading more, or whatever that goal is that you want to reach, what if the Lord is right next to you? Are you putting in your best effort to this task that you wanted to do? Are you putting in your best effort? Are you putting in your half effort? It's so important that we work at our best effort with all that we do. Our work ethic is one of the best ways to be able to point to Jesus and to be able to be a testimony for Jesus, because again, sin has been so normalized in this world. Laziness is just such a normal thing now. But we want to make sure that we're walking with the Lord, that we aren't walking in that, but that we are a hard worker in all that we do, and that we're a hard worker not just for ourselves, not to be prideful in that, not to impress someone else, but for the Lord and for what He has done for us. The only way that I have ever succeeded in actually reaching the goals that I've set is when I brought God into the center of them. I put Him at the center of my goals. I prayed over my goals, and I surrendered my goals to Him and let Him lead. And it's not easy, again, because sometimes that means doing things that you didn't think you were going to be doing, or giving up things that maybe you wanted to do. But again, it's so worth it to give up and to do specific things for the Lord, because there is so much freedom and joy in walking in what He has called you to do. My biblical framework for setting goals is your why. 1 Corinthians 10:31, doing it all for the glory of God. Setting the goals and letting the Lord lead. Proverbs 19:21, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Surrendering your goals to the Lord. Submit yourselves to the Lord. Draw near to God and He will draw near to you. Sticking to your goals. Colossians 3:23, do it all unto the Lord. God has to be the center of your life if you want to experience true freedom and true joy. You have to be able to set realistic goals that you'll actually be able to stick to. You have to be able to pray over your goals and align these goals with what the Lord has for you. You have to constantly be reflecting and assessing your goals and questioning, Lord, do these goals align with you? Lord, am I honoring you with these goals? What's my why? And you constantly have to reassess that, because you might start the year with goals that honor the Lord and reflect the Lord. And as you go on throughout the year, they can slowly become self-centered, and the enemy can really work in those things, and it can just become all about me, myself, and I. That's why reflecting is really important, and monthly praying over your goals, reflecting, reassessing of where are you at spiritually with that. I just want to encourage you that if you don't set goals, Start setting goals this year. And it doesn't have to be a long list, but just start with a few ways that you want to grow with the Lord and grow physically and grow spiritually this year. And I believe in the Lord that it is going to be an amazing year for you. If you set goals that you believe align with the Lord, you surrender these goals to the Lord, and you start reaching goals unto His glory. Or if you're someone like me who likes to set big goals and can be very self-centered around these goals, I challenge you to really pray over these things, surrender them to the Lord, and really bring Him into this area of your life, and you'll experience freedom and joy in reaching these goals, not draining and exhaustion from reaching these goals, but you'll experience true freedom and true joy in the Lord. I really hope that was helpful for you, just being able to set goals that honor the Lord, to be able to stick to your goals, and to be able to find freedom and joy in achieving amazing things in your life. But it can only be done through the glory of the Lord. I'm now going to be changing directions a little bit, and I just got on my Instagram for the listener question of the week. And I think this is honestly such a good question for this episode going into the new year. It says, what are some ways to combat laziness and lack of discipline? I feel like my efforts aren't working. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is pray. The strength of the Lord is like no other. And when you're struggling, pray and ask God for strength and ask God for a spirit of discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7 says that the Lord has given us not a spirit of fear, but of self-discipline. And just like any other habit and any other fruit of the Spirit, we have to be able to work on the discipline of self-discipline. So I encourage you to pray, to ask God for strength, and to really ask yourself, have I surrendered this area of my life to the Lord? Is it His, or am I still kind of holding back? The enemy really likes to work in that way because the enemy doesn't want you to be healthy physically or spiritually. And so do not let the enemy win. You have to surrender this to the Lord. You have to give this area of your life to the Lord. You also have to know that God has called you to more than that. God has called us as believers to live healthy lifestyles. God has called us as believers to walk in surrender to Him. So also knowing that if you claim to love the Lord, surrender to Him. If you claim to be a believer, like your life is His, your life is no longer yours. And so really make sure that your life is surrendered to God, that you're in a posture of, Lord, my life is yours. Lord, lead me. But the Lord really will guide you. He really will give you strength, and He will give you discipline, but you have to seek Him out in that. But it's also so great, like get a community of people around you who maybe want to go work out or want to learn how to make healthy meals together, or maybe you need to like work on your spiritual life, really making sure that you are, going to a Bible study, getting involved in Sunday school and going to church, being consistent with that. That is so important to have a community of people around you to help you in that area. I mean, I am just going to throw this out here as well. Like I am a faith-based fitness coach, and getting a coach to help you build habits is really, really helpful. So if that is something that you are wanting to work towards, is a disciplined lifestyle for the Lord, I would be more than happy to share with you what that looks like, to really be able to walk in surrender with the Lord, with your health and fitness, and with your spiritual life. My goal is to really help women to learn to steward the body that the Lord has given them with Jesus at the center, doing it unto the glory and honor of Him. And it is just the best job ever. I'm so blessed to be able to help women be able to learn to do this, because again, the world just has such a negative view of health, such a negative view of the Lord, and really being able to just find freedom in all of those things is such a beautiful thing. But the best piece of advice I can give you is to lean into the Lord, ask Him for discipline and for strength, and get a community of people around you, or seek out help like a coach to really help guide you to those things, because some people just don't know how to work out or how to create this healthy lifestyle, and that's okay, and getting help is okay too. So I would encourage you to do that, and I will actually leave a link in the show notes to apply for my one-on-one coaching. I have some like fun New Year's deals coming up. Also, like I talked about last week, I actually have a New Year's challenge coming up, and when this episode is posted, it will actually be starting like today or in a couple days. So I'll also leave that link below if you want to look into that. I am just super excited for what I feel like the Lord is going to do in my business in 2026, and I'm super excited to stay consistent on this podcast. I hope that this episode was helpful for you, and I hope that you feel encouraged to take action on goal setting, whether that be you need to start setting goals or you need to surrender your goals and your desires to the Lord. I am really thankful that you were here listening, and I just hope that you were encouraged and challenged. If you have any questions that want to be answered on the podcast, feel free to message me on Instagram on Fit Faith Flourish. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Remember to shine bright for Jesus, and I will see you guys next week. So proud of you for finishing another episode. If you have any questions or thoughts, you can find me on Instagram at HannahRoyFit. It would mean so much to me if you wouldn't mind to review and share this podcast. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys in the next episode.